Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm Gamesplaining Maracaibo.
So this is Maracaibo set up. I've set the game up as a two-player game. The only thing different on a two-player game is we have this tile in instead of that tile, and one of each of the powers has been put down onto 6, 7, and 8. Otherwise it plays the same. The other choice that you have to make before you start the game is, are you just going to play a one-off game or are you going to play the campaign? I've set this up as the one-off game, which means having this card out. I'm not going to touch the campaign rules. This video is more about just getting a feel for the game and how it plays. The campaign is a little bit more, just a touch more, and has a little bit more story that goes with it. And everyone who plays the campaign will play slightly differently. I don't really want to kind of push anyone towards any particular cards or anything like that. So, on your turn, you are moving your boat. You are choosing to move your boat between 1 and 7 spots. You must move at least 1, but you can move up to 7 spots if you wish. Once the first player gets to this spot, they will have to stop because of that little stop sign, the hand up. They will gain either 2 movement on that track, or they'll have a battle, and I'll talk about movement and battles in a moment. Everyone else will have a turn. Then they'll move along to here, they'll get 3 points, and then we are back to starting. So everyone takes their boats from wherever they are and brings them back. Whoever is the player next to the blue player is going to be the first player leading off from Havana. You'll go around 3 times doing exactly the same thing. On the 4th round, you'll come to 21B, which gives 3 points to each player that goes in there, and 22, which gives 5 points as the second turn or third turn if you're 1, 2, 3, and then that is the end of the game. Okay, so how does the game play? It is an immense game. There's a lot going on, but not much at the same time. As I said before, the very first thing that you do is move up to 7 spots. If you move 1 spot to here, this is what's called a city. Cities are wherever these banners exist. So there are 6 city spaces. At the very beginning of the game, you are dealt 8 cards. You will keep 4 of them in your hand. 1 of them will go here and the other 3 will get discarded. Out of the cards in your hand, you're looking for that symbol down on the side. So this player has 2 of that symbol. He might go, okay, I'm going to use that symbol, discard that card, then he'll remove 1 of these markers from his boat. It doesn't matter which marker, and I'm not actually going to tell you what each of the things does when you get through to it in this video. I will actually do a second video which runs through all that, because I think there's a lot of detail there that isn't 100% necessary to the play. Just know that this stuff makes things easier. So for example, he might take 1 from here and place it there. Even if he had 2 of those symbols in his hand, he is only able to place 1 marker. He then does what is on the other side of the scroll. So in this case, he would get another guy and he would perform an A action, which is a village action, and I'll get to village actions in a moment. At the end of his turn, he draws back up to 4 cards. You'll always have 4 cards in your hand. So he's got 3 at the moment. He can take 1 of the 4 that's face up, but that will cost him 1 money, or he could take 1 blind card. And he thinks for the moment, he might just spend the 1 money to take that 1 more card he's got 4 in his hand. Now, notice there are 2 extra spaces here. He could have put those 2 cards down there to say that he's going to buy them. Notice that I used the little symbol here for the card before to actually get one of these things off my boat. By putting them down there, you're no longer able to use those symbols. And we'll see what those symbols are useful for in a moment. So by doing that, he's now only got 1 card in his hand. He's purchased 1. He might to get his value back up to take 2 cards off the draw deck, and now he's back to 4 cards for the next round. Once you've reached your hand limit, you then refill the draw stack, and then it's the other person's turn. So what each of these scrolls means is in the rule book, but really quickly, that gives you an A action for every one of these symbols that you have, and there are cards that you're going to gain. These ones haven't been gained yet, that actually have that symbol on them, so that will make that more valuable. This one allows you to move up to 2 spaces down there in the forestry area. This one allows you to do combat, and I'll go into combat in a moment. This one allows you to take one more marker off your board and move this marker along one, and I'll go into why that needs to be moved along in a moment. And this one allows you to take either 4 money or 2 points for each of the guys that are on the board, which there are none at the moment. Okay, let's go to the village actions. There are 3 village actions. If you move just 1 space or 2 spaces to get your boat to a village, anything up to 3 spots, you would get 1 action. If you're moving 4, 5, or 6 spots, you would get 2 actions. And if you were to move all 7 spots and end up on a village, you would get 3 of these actions. Now, what the actions are is, the first one is just taking 1 money. Real simple. You can get rid of all of the cards that you've got in your hand to take 2 money. And at the end of your turn, you'll then refill those cards. So if you find you've got a hand that's not valuable, it might be worth doing that. Or you can buy one of the cards that you have already put up here. Purchasing a card costs whatever is in the top left corner. So in this case, it would cost 15 money to purchase that one. He doesn't have 15 money. He only has 7 money left. So he can't purchase that. This one would cost 7 money and one of the guys. So it would be those gone in, that guy gone. And now this card has been purchased. It's opened up a space and it's also a purchase thing. The points are gained at the end of the game, so you can ignore them for the moment. What is written on the bottom has a background color, which is important. On this card, anything with the red background is a permanent effect. That means that if he takes this action, he would be able to move up to 3 spots down this bottom track. And anything with the green background is an income thing. So by taking this, he would actually move his income marker, which is up on this line, forward 2 spaces. You'll notice this marker here, that is saying that if he has managed to get this tile, he would push his marker forward another 2. He doesn't have that at the moment, so we won't worry about it. But in a future round, if he manages to do something which gets him a tile, so it looks like that, but will be with that symbol, if he does that, then that kicks in and he will still be able to push forward 2. The other one is this. So that will cost him 6 money, plus he moves one of his guys to number 18, which is just there. Now what's going to happen when your boat gets around here, you could ignore that there's a guy there and you'll get 2 points for just passing him by. Or you could stop your boat there and that then allows you to take these actions. Notice when he purchased this card, he got that tile. So any cards that actually gave benefit for having that tile would push forward. The guy will go back into there. He would get pushing forward on one of these tracks. I'll talk about that track in a moment. And also take another 2 of these actions that we're talking about at the moment, which are the village actions. At the point where we chose to purchase a card to get down there, instead of doing one of these, you could purchase one of these, which costs 20 money for this card, and you would put one of your markers on there. That will get you points in accordance with the stuff on the bottom of the card at the end of the game. Any number of players can put their marker on there. If you're the first player on there, you'll get the 2 points. You'll also gain a crown marker if you don't already have one. And they get scored at the end of the game with what is in the box. As I said, you can put cards down here at any time you like. So if he then decides I'm going to go for that card, he'll now collect more cards in from over on the other side. The other thing with moving around the board to look out for are these. These are the quest tiles. Each of these are individual actions. So if he's only moved 1 to get here, he can only do the quest. If he's moved 5 to get there, then he can do the quest and one of the other things. And what that quest tile is saying is it needs 2. So notice I've got 2 cards that have that marker on them. They get put into the discard pile over on the side. Once he's paid for that, he then gains 2 money per compass he's got. He starts with 1 compass. Some of the cards may have a compass printed on these spots, like that one just there. That would give him another compass. So he'd get 2 money per compass and then 2 points as well. And points are shown on the outside. Once you've taken that, flip that upside down into that spot. When you get filled up to here, you'll get 3 points straight away. And any other ones that you get 2 points for. That's the basics of the game. The only other thing I haven't dealt with is combat. So when your boat, for example, gets to here, what that's looking at is you have 2 options on the combat. We're looking at this track. So at the moment, he's managed to get his combat level to 2. Each of the meeples he has could count as a combat meeple as well, if necessary. So the first thing that happens when he's doing a combat is you lift up the top 2 tiles and flip them over. You're going to choose one of these 2 tiles, and on the tile, you're going to choose which of the 3 nations you're fighting for. You'll notice there's some little bonuses and things on them. I might just pull this one in for the moment, just so you can see what's happening. So the very first thing that happens is looking at the top line. What that's saying is if you're playing for or fighting for the country that has the least number of markers on the board, you would get an extra 3 swords. Now, at the moment, there's 1 of each country out. If that's what the board looks like, blue is the least. Of course, blue only has 1 and the others both have 2. If this is what the board looks like, this one, if I fight for white, I would be getting a -2 because white's really strong. If it looks like that, then neither white or red count as the negatives. So you need to be the outright most or outright least for them to kick in. You're then choosing which country to fight for. If you choose this one, you're going to get 2 swords from blue, but you'll also get an extra meeple. If you choose this one over on this card, then it's red, same deal. Only 2 swords, but the extra meeple. If you choose to fight for red or white, you're going to get 5 swords or 4 swords. Why is that important? Because when you decide to fight for something, or for someone, should I say, let's say, for example, he chose to take this tile, so that one gets discarded. He's fighting for white, so white gives him 4 swords, which allows him to choose one of these spots that has a red flag, and he might, I don't know, choose that one. Because there was nothing on that spot to start with, he needs to come up with a total of 4 swords. If he had chosen red, which only has 2 swords, but he really wanted to get the extra meeple, then he's still got to find another 2 swords. Where do those 2 swords come from? His sword level is on 2, so he could use both of them. Suddenly we've covered the 4. If on a future turn, someone comes through and does the battle thing and goes, I'm going to use white, but they want to go after this spot, they're going to need to show 6 swords worth. So there's 4 from the card, he'll need another 2. There's no more on this line, so he'd need to give up 2 meeples to take that. And each time you take that, with any country, you get the 2 points because that's written there, 1 point on that, or these 3 up here are worth money for the person who takes it. When you fight for something, so say red's taken that, what you're also doing is pushing forward on your influence of red. If on the next time white comes and does the battle that we were talking about, you'll push forward on the white. The other thing you can do when you're battling is literally to gain influence. So in order to gain influence, you would spend swords. So if he's got 2 swords, he can spend 2 swords to gain 1 influence with one of the 3 spots. Or he could spend 5 swords if he happened to be up above that, and that would gain him 2 influence with the same spot, same line. Okay, I hope that this has been helpful getting this game to the table. I will go on to the player boards on the next video, so please go ahead and watch that, but there should be enough information there to get you to the table with this one as we're speaking. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplaned, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.